I hope this doesn't sound creepy, because this is the only thing I can think of, but I have this natural affinity of getting information about people.
Hey, what's up everyone? So welcome back to another episode of Boba With Board. Today we are joined by EJ Gutierrez.
Yes, so EJ is one of our costumes coordinators this year. This is her second year being a part of Long Beach's PCN and her first year on PCN Board. Cool. So, how are you doing today, EJ?
I'm very tired.
We feel that.
I
We
just
totally
came
feel
from
that.
my sewing class,
Ooh.
so I've just been sewing. Oh, my hands are tired.
So let's start off by asking, how was your first PCN experience?
I had no idea what I was getting into. I didn't know anyone other than like people that I've met, but like prior to it, like no one told me about what PCN was or even PAC. So I was like going into it, I was like, what's happening? But I was like, I love, like, I have the tendency to like mimic people, so the good energy like reflected me, and the entire process was stressful and like confusing, and I was dancing for the first time, and it was just a lot of fun. I was very excited the entire time.
So, you actually danced for Rural last year, am I correct? For both PCN and PCF?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious as to what it was about Rural that drew you in.
Okay, so I didn't intend on dancing when I joined for PCF or PCN. I'm a fashion design major, so I was like, oh, this is something that I can relate to. I've always loved like historic costumes, and I want to learn about my culture, so I thought I'd just join costumes. But when I joined fall of last year, I met Glenda, and she told me there's not much for costumes to do in the fall, so why don't you try and dance? And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. I'm not coordinated. But she's like, no, it's fine. Try Rural. Like, I hear that it's one of the easier suites. So I was like, okay. And so I joined, and it was Vito and Pat that were the chords. And I was like, okay, they have a good energy. I'll try it. And I did it, and we danced Siniblihan, and I was like, I love this.
So with this only being your second PCN, I was wondering what you're looking forward to about this PCN season in particular.
I guess just being in costumes, because I used to like do theater in high school, but more of like the backstage stuff. I did stage tech, I did costumes, learned how to do lighting, put props on stage, and I love the backstage aspect of things. And so being part of the spotlight and a little bit of costumes, I was like, I love this. I love like helping people backstage, like for people like who are lost or like have something wrong with their like costumes. I love being able to help that way, and so I'm excited to do that. Yeah.
All right, so we want to go ahead and take a step back from PCN to allow the audience to get to know you a little bit better. So, what's one thing that not many people would actually know about you?
I hope this doesn't sound creepy, because this is the only thing I can think of, but I have this natural affinity of getting information about people. I end up in situations where I find out more information about people when I don't like try, and when I try, it's almost terrifying.
Oh.
My friends call me their personal investigator, their PI.
But yeah, it's totally not creepy because like we're in like a digital age and like everyone's
you can find
information. Yeah.
anything.
But
But
like
it's
I've
like-
also stalked people too, so you know.
It's like, but it's like not intentional stalking
Yeah.
unless like
Yeah.
someone asks me. So like I'll come up to information like that, and I'm like, hello. I
Okay.
don't mean to be creepy, but like.
Okay, but it's like you don't even have the attention, so it's
No.
okay. So like it doesn't. It's fine.
See, like I do intentional stalking, so that's.
Anyway,
So what do you hope to do as a career, like long term after college?
Oh, that's something I've been questioning recently. Contrary to like most of the people that join my major, most people want to work for like Zara or like H&M.
Yeah.
I really want to go into couture. I love details, and I love like watching gigantic dresses that are completely impractical walk down the runway. It's like this gigantic train of something, and I'm like, it's so dreamlike. There's this Filipino designer, I forgot his name, but he makes such ethereal gowns. They look like they were created by fairies, and the detail in them, oh, so magical.
all right. So I'm curious. Like, you have such like an interest in fashion, and it's not even like like the generic interest in fashion. You have like a really specific interest within it. But I'm curious as to what got you into fashion in the first place.
Growing up, I've always wanted to be an artist. I've always drawing, painting. I've touched almost every single kind of media and art. But I remember this very specific memory in first grade where it was the first time I met my grandma, my nanay. And she was visiting, and it was probably one of the only times she could visit. And I was sitting there and I was drawing something. It was just like, I remember it being like the planet, like a map of the planet. And I was like scribbling everywhere as like a first grader would,
Yeah.
a mess to the eyes. And she's like, no, you draw in one direction. And I'm like, okay. And ever since, like, that specific memory like stuck with my head, like how to draw like a certain way so that the textures are the same. And then the same visit, she also taught me how to hand sew. And that was the time like I had like Barbie dolls and I wanted to make dresses for them. And so like she like had some old clothes and she like helped me cut them out and taught me how to sew. And so that's like a memory that was ingrained. So I continue like my journey through life and my school life, going through different art. But it was like clothing was always something that I went back to. It was just knowing that like I could make something and I could see someone on the street wear it.
Yeah.
Or I could see it on the runway and someone wear it. It's like literally a piece of art that you could wear. And I thought that was so beautiful. And so because of my nanay and because of my love for art, I got into fashion in high school.
So we wanted to go ahead and take this opportunity to segue into a segment that we have here on this show. I'm sure you've already heard of it. It's called Rapid Fire. So we're just gonna give you a series of questions and you're just gonna need to answer them as quickly as possible.
Oh God, I'm terrible at this. Okay.
EJ, are you ready?
No.
All right, well, you're ready to go. All right, Coke.
In 3, 2, 1.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Loud, flamboyant, and caring.
Woo! Give yourself a compliment.
I really like my purple hair right now.
What's your best feature?
I think my eyes.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
When someone interrupts a song when I'm listening and jamming into it, like right in the middle, and I'm like,
Ooh.
what's the groove?
What's one thing you're good at?
Getting people's attention by being loud.
What's one thing you're bad
Keeping my attention on something myself.
at? Who's your celebrity crush?
Oh God. Kim Seok-jin from BTS.
Who would you rather get stranded on Antarctica or in the desert?
Antarctica. I can't handle the heat.
I feel you. What impresses you?
When you have a lot of knowledge for something.
Fill in the blank. Archives is. Yes!
Oh my God, what is it about these costume scores that make me want to cry? So to bring things back to PCN before we wrap things up today, our last question for you is, what does PCN mean to you?
Ooh.
I thought about this one. PCN means building your second Filipino family away from your Filipino family. Most of my family's in the Philippines and I haven't met most of them. And so, like, my parents were able to teach me a lot of the Filipino culture. So being able to come here and then just be thrown into all of it.
Yeah.
It's so warming and inspiring. And the energy of everyone and the love that we have for each other and for our culture, it taught me to love like who I am and the culture that I was born into. So that's what PCN
Love the answer. I love it. Well, EJ, that was a great answer. Thank you so much for coming to our show. That's all we have for you today. Of course.
Yeah, of course. All right, so that was all the time that we have for today's episode of Boba With Board. Be on the lookout for the next episode to come.
Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and we will see you in the next one.